When we think of history's greatest legends, certain names shine brighter than the rest. These are the rulers, inventors, artists, whose lives are told and retold in classrooms, documentaries, books. Their faces are carved in stone, their deeds sung across centuries. But what if we told you the stories you know are only the tip of the iceberg? So much of what shaped these icons remains hidden, left out of the spotlight, waiting to be discovered. History often paints its heroes in bold, simple colors. We celebrate their victories, admire their genius, marvel at their courage. Yet, behind these larger-than-life figures lies something much more interesting. Their secret lives. There are moments of doubt, strange routines, hidden passions, private heartbreaks. These hidden threads are woven just as tightly into the fabric of their legacy as any public triumph. Imagine Cleopatra not just as a queen, but as a woman with private fears and secret ambitions. Think of Leonardo da Vinci, not only as a master artist, but as a man who struggled with forbidden ideas. Even the most celebrated leaders and thinkers had sides that the world rarely sees. These parts of their story can be surprising, sometimes even shocking. In this journey, we will pull back the curtain. We will step into the hidden rooms of the past and explore what history's legends did when no one was watching. Prepare yourself. The real stories are far stranger and far more human than you might believe. When we picture Alexander the Great, we see a conqueror astride his horse, eyes fixed on distant horizons. We remember his victories, his cities, his bold march across continents. Yet, the image of a fearless general is only part of the truth. Behind palace walls, Alexander was a man of striking contrasts. He was a ruler who could be both charismatic, cruel, full of grand dreams, haunted by personal demons. Few people know that Alexander's private life was filled with rituals and routines that bordered on obsession. He would spend hours in solitude, reading tales of heroes, reading tales of gods, convinced that he was destined for greatness. This belief wasn't just for show. It drove him to push further than anyone before him, but it also left him restless and rarely at peace. Alexander often confided in his closest friends, sharing fears of betrayal and the crushing responsibility of leadership. His relationship with his mother, Olympias, was another secret force shaping his life. Olympias was fiercely protective and ambitious for her son. She filled his mind with stories of divine ancestry, whispering that he was the son of Zeus. These private lessons didn't just flatter the young king, they set the stage for the bold risks he would later take. In the quiet corners of his palace, Alexander's destiny was being shaped, not by armies, but by whispered words and ancient stories. Alexander's secret world was one of intense emotion and private struggle. The man who led armies across deserts and mountains was also a man who feared losing the love and loyalty of those closest to him. This vulnerability was rarely seen in public, but it was central to the legend he would become. We remember Nikola Tesla as a visionary, a man who saw the future in flashes of lightning. His name is, pretty much synonymous with alternating current, radio waves, and technologies that power our modern world. We picture him as a confident genius, effortlessly conjuring inventions that were decades ahead of his time. But behind this brilliant mind was a man wrestling with profound inner turmoil. Tesla's life was a constant struggle against private fears and debilitating anxieties that threatened to consume him. These weren't just minor worries. They were deep-seated phobias that shaped his every interaction and decision. Tesla harbored an intense fear of germs, a condition we now recognize as mysophobia. He would wash his hands obsessively and avoided touching anything that seemed unclean. This fear extended to people. He disliked handshakes and would go to great lengths to maintain his personal space. He also had a pretty peculiar aversion to round objects, especially pearls, and would refuse to speak to women wearing them. These compulsions, hidden from the public eye, dictated his daily routines and isolated him from the very world he sought to transform. This secret battle was not just a personal quirk, it was a fundamental part of his creative process. His mind, while capable of imagining entire electrical systems in perfect detail, was also a source of great suffering. He was haunted by vivid flashes of light, often accompanied by visions, which had plagued him since childhood. While these experiences were terrifying, they were also the source of his greatest ideas. The man who illuminated the world was, in many ways, trapped in the shadows of his own mind, fighting a war that no one else could see. Understanding Tesla requires us to look beyond the celebrated inventor and see the vulnerable human being. His genius was not born from a place of calm confidence, but from a chaotic inner world of fear and compulsion. The story of his success is not just about scientific breakthroughs, it is about a man who harnessed his personal demons, and, against all odds, used them to light up the future for the rest of us. When we think of Leonardo da Vinci, we picture a true Renaissance man. He was a painter, a scientist, an engineer, and an inventor whose genius touched nearly every field of human knowledge. We see the enigmatic smile of the Mona Lisa, and the divine grace of the Last Supper. We imagine a figure of immense intellect and discipline, a man whose mind was a universe of perfect ideas. Yet, this image of a solitary, almost godlike creator is incomplete. Behind the towering achievements was a man of deep passions, whose personal relationships were as complex and unconventional as his art. These hidden connections, often shrouded in secrecy and scandal, were a powerful force in his life and work. For Leonardo, love and art were intertwined. He never married and had no children, a fact that has fueled centuries of speculation. His private life was a closely guarded secret. His notebooks, the accounts of his contemporaries offer tantalizing clues. Among the many young men who entered Leonardo's studio, one really stands out. Gian Giacomo Caproti, better known as Salai. He arrived as a 10-year-old apprentice in 1490. Leonardo's notebooks immediately began to document his mischief. The master nicknamed him Salai, or Little Devil, Lie, Steal, Cause Trouble. Yet despite his flaws, Leonardo was utterly captivated by him. Salai remained by Leonardo's side for more than 25 years, far longer than any other assistant. Salai was notoriously handsome, with beautiful curling hair that Leonardo sketched obsessively. He became a model for several of Leonardo's works. St. John the Baptist, Bacchus. He was not a particularly gifted artist himself, but he became Leonardo's muse and constant companion. Salai was a disruptive presence in Leonardo's orderly world, a beautiful chaos in contrast to the master's precise, scientific mind. Yet, this chaos may have been what Leonardo needed. It brought a vibrant, unpredictable human element into his life, grounding his celestial genius in earthly passion. The feelings infused his art with a new layer of emotional complexity. The serene faces in his paintings often hide a storm of feeling, a reflection of the turbulent love that defined his private world. Salai, the Little Devil, was not just an apprentice. He was the keeper of Leonardo's heart, and his face is forever immortalized in the shadows of some of the world's greatest masterpieces. Elizabeth I of England is remembered as the Virgin Queen, a ruler of immense strength and intellect. We picture her in these magnificent gowns, delivering powerful speeches to her troops, a symbol of unwavering authority. She famously declared she had the heart and stomach of a king. This public persona was a masterpiece of political theater, carefully constructed to command respect in a world dominated by men. But behind this ironclad facade was a brilliant political strategist, playing a dangerous game of secrets and alliances that would determine England's survival. She was a master of manipulation, using the prospect of marriage as her most powerful diplomatic tool. For decades, she dangled the possibility of a royal wedding before princes and dukes across Europe, not to find a husband, but to keep neighbors off balance. Her private council chambers were where the real decisions were made, away from the public gaze. She shed her regal persona and engaged in heated debates with trusted advisors. She presided over one of the most sophisticated and ruthless intelligence networks of the era. At its head was her spy master, Sir Francis Walsingham, a man whose loyalty was matched only by his chilling efficiency. This shadowy organization was her eyes and ears, intercepting letters, deciphering codes, turning enemies into informants. They used invisible ink, complex ciphers, and a variety of disguises to gather intelligence. This secret war was relentless, fueled by the constant threat of Catholic plots aimed at replacing the Protestant Elizabeth with her cousin Mary, Queen of Scots. The game came to a head with the Babington plot. Walsingham's agents intercepted Mary's secret correspondence, providing the irrefutable proof of her complicity. The evidence was damning, leaving her with no other choice. Yet, even then, she agonized over signing the death warrant. This was her most private and agonizing decision. Her entire reign was a masterclass in secret statecraft. She funneled money and weapons to the Dutch rebels. She secretly sanctioned English privateers, like Sir Francis Drake, enriching her treasury and chipping away at Spanish power. The victory rested on decades of secret preparation. Her covert funding drained Spanish resources. Her support for Drake produced seasoned naval commanders. Her spy network supplied critical intelligence. The public saw a miraculous victory. The reality was long-term secret strategy. The Virgin Queen was the public icon, but the secret strategist, the player of the great game, truly secured England's destiny and changed history. Our journey through the hidden corridors of the past has come to an end. We have stepped behind the grand portraits and epic tales to uncover the secret lives of history's greatest legends. We have seen Alexander the Great as a man driven by obsessive rituals. We have met Nikola Tesla, battling the profound darkness of his own anxieties. We have glimpsed the heart of Leonardo da Vinci, an artist whose forbidden loves were essential to his masterpieces. And we have witnessed Queen Elizabeth I playing a secret game of spies and alliances. These stories teach us a profound and vital lesson. History is not just a sequence of events, but a tapestry woven from human lives. The legends we admire were not gods or flawless machines, but people made of flesh and blood, just like us. They were shaped by their passions, haunted by their fears, and defined by the secrets they kept. Their private struggles and hidden desires were not mere footnotes to their public achievements. They were the very engine of their greatness. We learn that greatness is not born from perfection, but from the messy, beautiful, and often painful reality of the human experience. These legends were not great in spite of their secrets, but because of them. Their private worlds gave them a unique perspective, a different kind of strength, and a depth of character that allowed them to leave an indelible mark on the world. This is the human heart of history, beating just beneath the surface of the stories we thought we knew. It reminds us that behind every great achievement, there is a human story waiting to be told. The secret lives of these legends do not diminish their accomplishments. On the contrary, they make them all the more remarkable. They show us that even the most celebrated figures in history were wrestling with the same fundamental questions of love, fear, ambition, and identity that we face today. Their stories are, in the end, our stories. Their stories prove that it is our humanity, in all its messy and glorious complexity, that is the true source of greatness. For in their hidden struggles and secret passions, we find not only a more honest version of history, but also a more profound and inspiring vision of what it means to be human and what we are truly capable of achieving.